You see, guys, I have already installed downloaded the both files. I have opnsense, I have pfsense. You don't need to download both. You be sure that you download whatever you're planning to do. Either opnsense or pfsense doesn't matter to me at all. So what we'll do here is, first of all, when you download them, you will realize, guys, that they're not really ISO files, right? You see, there is ISO, but there is .gz here, okay? And for this one here, opnsense is busy too. Now, both formats are Unix formats of archive files and compress files, so we need to uncompress and unarchive them. So that's why I actually added to your the third link, which I send you, actually is for the 7-zip, right? So if you don't have it, just click on the link, install 7-zip very easily, a couple of clicks, and you're gonna have an archiver, very powerful one. Right click and use 7-zip, so here mine, and say open archive. Okay, and then just extract the ISO file. And then you'll do the same for the other one. I don't know why this one actually. If you saw on the site of the providers, there are other formats. Well, these are other formats that you could use if you have real appliances and you would like to install on these real appliances. Okay, so that means a hardware appliance, pfsense, or you use an old firewall. Let's say SwitchGuard. SwitchGuard is the WatchGuard. I'm sorry, is one of the of the firewall producers. Actually, you could install opnsense and pfsense on a card. You could flush the existing card, so you could change the existing card with a bigger one. You could flush it with the BIOS, which is there, and you could install it. I did this already with both operating system. Unfortunately, the appliance which I was having was 32-bit, and both providers now, they don't provide really 32-bit. Even though you're gonna see opnsense, they have 32-bit, it's not really working. So anyways, it is possible. That's why there are a couple of different formats than ISO file. Okay, so what we are interested in are the ISO files, and we just unarchive them. So I'm gonna start creating first the opnsense. So I'll click new. I'll call this opnsense. Now both of them are Unix versions, so we need to find out Unix. Where it says here, well, you're not going to find clearly Unix. You're going to find out different versions of Unix, like Solaris, BSD, Mac OS 10, IBM OS 2. So it is these are, both of them are fork of BSD, and actually they're free BSD. And since we downloaded already 64-bit, as you see, I'm gonna check free BSD 64. So that's what you need to have for both of them if you would like to install. 1024 is good enough, but to speed it up a little bit, I just gonna go to 248 in the beginning, and then I will decrease it back. You don't need too much. So I'm gonna say create. 16 gigabyte is enough for a hard drive. VDI dynamic allocate, it's perfect. So once you created it, actually what I like to do is to put it on a group. And in this group actually I'm gonna rename it, and I'm gonna call it as our module, so T13. So we'll know that my firewalls will stay here in the T13 module, right? So I could always shrink them. You know, it's a little bit easy to work with. Then I need to do something about the settings. Now both of them, they won't have a graphical interface, so I don't need to come here in the advanced and do anything. You know, it is the advanced tab here on the general is when you work with graphical interface. I don't have such, so I don't need to do anything. On the system, I will, as usually, remove the floppy and I will move it to the bottom, but you can skip this. If it doesn't find it, it will proceed without. Now, very important, PS2 mouse, change it with USB tablet. Even though you're not going to use it, be sure that that's changed. If you need to use it for something, USB tablet actually is what lately VirtualBox is using. For any operating system, you need to do it. A display I don't need to touch as well because I don't have graphical interface. Now in the empty disk here, when I click on it, on the right side will appear the other one. I'll say choose, say add, and I'm going to go and find on my desktop, I will find out the opnsense and pfsense. So say first opnsense, I'll open it, and then I'm going to say choose, and it will be appearing here into the one network. Now that's the moment which is important, guys, right? So the opnsense and pfsense, they have more than one interface. You need more than one interface. If you remember from our if you remember from the schema, guys, you have here the internet, and we said that will be your laptop actually. Whenever you have on your laptop as a network, that will be internet for all of this infrastructure. In my case, my infrastructure is, let me open it and let's see what I have here. So this is my IP address of my laptop. So basically that's what I'm gonna have as a network. And as you see, this network actually is it has 16-bit, as well as you see that's the default gateway which I'm having here. And basically that will be for me. For you guys, whatever you do on the IP config and see, that will be your internet for this part of the network. Also, then we're going to choose either opnsense or pfsense. At the moment, I'm doing opnsense. And then we will have, here we will have, as you see, that's one interface, right? That's the interface which facing to the network, to internet. One interface which is facing to the demilitarized zone or DMZ, and one interface which is facing to the LAN. Now, this is what I need. So I need three interfaces, one which is facing internet, one which is facing the DMZ, and one which is facing my local area network. So to do this, I need to choose three adapters here. Now, opnsense, guys, by default, opnsense works, I would say not all the time, but at least 95% of the cases, you will realize that your WAN address, your WAN address, the address which is facing the internet, this one here, which, as you see, it's supposed to be DHCP. Okay, so this guy, it's it is facing. It's not the adapter one. Actually, it will be the adapter two. And when I start installing, you're gonna see what I mean. But that's how it works 95% of the cases. So my one adapter when I'm working with opnsense will be the adapter 2. So I'll click on this one and I'll choose here bridged. So when I'm using bridge adapter, this adapter will receive an IP address from my router in my network. So it will have an address of 172.16.0 something. Okay, that will be my IP address. That's what I want. Now adapter 1 here will be my LAN. And to use the LAN, I have a couple of choices. Up to now, and you're going to see it on the movie, we were using actually host-only adapter. We will proceed doing this, and I will mention to you guys there is only one drawback of using this thing, the host-only adapter. The drawback will be that even though I will apply some, I will apply some rules on this one, it will still be working, even though I will stop some things to work, because actually that's the nature of this adapter. This adapter is made so you to be able to access any internal interface, you to be able to access it without any problems from your real computer. So basically, I don't need to do port forwarding from my real computer to the internal computer if I would like to access the network, which will be a little bit intimidating, because you're gonna see, even though I haven't done anything, I will be able to access from internet, kind of, my real computer. I will be able to access right away internally. But once again, it is because I'm using this host-only adapter. That's why. And I will show it to you what exactly I mean. Now, when I'm installing pfsense, I'll skip this, and instead of host alpha only, I will for this one I will use the internal adapter, and then you will see the difference clearly. For now, I'm going to choose the host-only adapter for this one. And my adapter 3 will be my DMZ, and for the DMZ I will choose the internal adapter. So the difference between internal adapter and the host-only adapter is only that internal adapter has no any access to your real computer. There is no access. There is no internet access. There is no access to your internal computer. The host-only adapter has access to your computer. So actually, from your real computer, you could access without anything to do, without any NAT to do, you could access directly your virtual machine. So a very good resource to learn about the networking in VirtualBox. When I do this, so being back to the initial schema, so you see it's asking me here to have the addresses of 192.168.102. Well, actually, on my LAN, I'm supposed to have an address of 192.168.100. That will be my network. And on my DMZ, I need to have 192.168.201. And as you see, they don't say DHCP. That means I need to put them manually. So me to do this, me to be able to do this manually on the adapters, I need to do a little bit of work now. So for the internal adapter, I cannot do anything, but for the host-only adapter, when I click on File, you see and go a little bit down, there is a host network manager. When I open this guy, you see I will see all of my adapters. And remember, I've chosen the first one. I've chosen, there are number 4, number 6, number 8. And you see all of them, they have different IP addresses. Now, because it's a virtual IP adapter, it's supposed to have an IP address. So if I would like to give to the adapter of the opnsense, if I would like to give 192.168.101, that means I need to choose something else than 1 here. And I'm not going to be able to use it anymore, right? Because this adapter, when I put this IP address on it, it's forever. So if you remember, in the same network, you cannot repeat IP addresses. So what I need to do in that case is to choose something which is similar to what they're asking me to choose here. And how to do it, it's very easy actually. If you don't see this thing, you click on the properties and you're gonna see it. First of all, be sure that the DHCP is not checked here. You don't want DHCP here. If you have it checked, just click create new one. Click create new one, and it will create new one. Let me show it to you. So just click on create. It will prompt you for obviously to accept. It will create a new adapter, so you could create many of these. Okay, these are virtual adapters, and you're gonna see it will be from a different network. Okay, so now you see this is one network. I will create for adapter 8. I will create this one. So when you create new one, it will create the DHCP won't be chosen. And that's a good thing, because if the DHCP here is available, and then we activate the DHCP on our firewall, which we will do, okay, then you're gonna have 2 DHCPs in one network, and they will kill each other. You know, it's something which we're not supposed to do. That's why we want the DHCP to be stopped here. And the other reason we create a new adapter is because if I just uncheck the adapter, so the DHCP do not be checked anymore, it doesn't work so simple. What I need to do with the VirtualBox, I need to say apply, then I need to shut down the VirtualBox, and then I need to reboot my real computer. So all of this will take in place. So for me, it's much easier actually to create a separate adapter. So I'm gonna come here and I'll click on this adapter, which is number 8, and I'm gonna just change here and I'm gonna say 100. And 254 is the last usable address. It is good to use this one for me. I know I will never use this address. Okay, and as you see on the schema, I don't have such address, so for me it doesn't matter at all. So this address will be taken, but all of this which I see on the schema will be okay. So I'm gonna just say apply. I'll confirm, and indeed it will assign this IP address. As you see it now, it's assigned here to my adapter. So what I need to do basically is to go back to my VirtualBox, and I need to change this adapter. Remember, I've chosen another one. So I'm gonna go to the network. I'm gonna go, my first network was the LAN, if you remember, and it says only host only, right? So I could click host only here, and I could go and I could choose the one which I just created, number 8. So now I know this adapter is on the network of 192.168.100. Okay, that's the way you make the VirtualBox know on which network it is. Now for the internal adapter, there is no need to do this. As a matter of fact, I could create as many adapters as I want. You see, I have Unix, I have DMZ, I have Internet, Intnet. Actually, I have IPT. I'm going to create LAN. How you created it? You just click here and you write down LAN. Okay, then you say OK. Okay, then you open it again. and you go to your third adapter, which is your DMZ, and when I oh, okay, I made a mistake. It's not LAN, it's supposed to be DMZ actually, but I show it to you how it works. So I'm going to choose DMZ, and that's the adapter which I'm going to choose. Now, I cannot do the same thing as I just did with the, with the host-only adapter, because internal adapter doesn't work this way. But it will know that this is the network which I want to be on. So these computers here, which is supposed to be on my DMZ, then their network adapters will be the same like this one. So I'm going to choose the same one, so they to be kind of the same switch connected to. Okay, that's the way we define the adapters. Once again, on opnsense, adapter 2 is your one. It's supposed to be bridged. Adapter 1 is your LAN, local area network, and we choose the host-only adapter, and I just show it to you how you guys to create the specific IP address on it. Without DHCP, you have it on both movies, on pfsense, opnsense, so you could see it already, but I'm doing it again. And adapter 3 is my DMZ, and I showed it to you how actually internal network, how you could create adapter as you wish. I'm gonna say OK, and I'm done. So what I could do now is just click start and start the process of installation of my firewall, which basically is very easy actually. So I'm gonna demonstrate it now for you. So here how it starts. You don't need to do anything, guys. At certain point it will stop and it will ask for your prompt, but you're just gonna wait again. So just wait, don't do anything. What it does now, out of the ISO image, it's actually extracts everything and it's installing it. It is installing it in your wherever you prepared on the virtual box. You could do the same if you would have had a real computer, right? So if you would have had 3 network interfaces on this one, you just put the ISO disk or USB, and started it and do whatever exactly it does at the moment. You see now it shows that it's finding out all the 3 adapters and they're up. Now it says press any key. Don't press anything, just wait. Okay, so here it is, it's finding out the MAC addresses. In the beginning, you're gonna see with the pfsense as well, it's finding only the 2 of them, but the other one is also found. We will be able to activate it after. When you see this thing, you're ready to start installation. So for now, what you did, you just temporarily put the kind of live mode. You extract everything from the ISO image and you put it temporarily on your computer. So basically, you're in a live mode. So if you would like now to go and to start working, you need to install it. And the installation, actually, what you need to do is you need to use the root, and the password is installer. So I'll write it down on your on the chat. So that's the password. Okay, so if you don't know how, you just if you don't know which one it is or you forget it, you could always Google it. When you say initial credentials when you're installing opnsense pfsense, and you're gonna see which one they are. So now I'm gonna say installer. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Maybe it is for the pfsense. So this one will be opnsense, let's say. Okay. So it was my mistake, guys. So the username, the initial username with which you would like to install it is installer. Okay, and the password is opnsense. So you have both of them on the chat, but the installer is the username and the opnsense is the password. So once that's the initial wizard which will lead you through the installation process. So you're going to install it from the ISO file on wherever you have there, as a real computer, appliance, or on your virtual machine in that case. So what you need to do is just to click OK, let's go. You're going to accept the settings. we want guided installation. As you see, up to now, I just click enter. This is the, the disk. We have only one disk, 16 GB, which will be installed on. Now, this is the moment you need to do something. I mean, it doesn't work very well with the VirtualBox with this mode, UEFI mode. So I'm going to click, I will click on the arrow down and I'll choose MBR, the master boot record. I'll click on this one, and basically that's how the installation looks like. Okay, that's the installation. There is nothing more to be done. Okay, what is asking me now is to create a password. Now, you could create a short one. That's something which I'm gonna do. Normally, it's not a good idea, but I'll choose it because for me it is better to work. So the next time you log in, already it will be root account, and the password will be the one which you are creating now. So don't forget this password, right? And then you click tap accept and set the password, and now it's done, and you need to reboot. Now, for both systems, pfsense and opnsense, when you reboot after the first installation, you need actually to stop. When you see it rebooted, let me show you exactly what I mean. So when you see that it's rebooting, you just need to click here on the cross, say power off the machine, and say OK. There is another way. If you're enough fast, you could click on the settings, go storage, and remove. You see, it doesn't remove actually automatically the CD. So basically what will happen with opnsense and pfsense, when you reboot after the installation, it will start the installation again. So basically you need just to stop at it or be very fast and click on this one, click here, and just say remove disk. Otherwise it will start the installation again and again and again and again, which obviously we don't want. So once you remove the installation disk, you'll start it. And this time the system will be loaded. It's already installed on the hard drive, so it will start as an operating system, will be loaded, will be tested, and if everything is okay, basically it will provide us with access to the system itself. So let's see. Now guys, we've chosen to our virtual box, we've chosen the 100 when I got here to the settings, just to remind you, in the network. I chosen host only adapter number 8, which has the address 192.168.100 something. Well, even though you see the initial LAN address which is provided to me is 192.168.1.1, and see also my WAN address actually is provided 172.16.0.2.1.7, which means it's working fine. So the second interface which I've chosen for my WAN, the bridge adapter, actually it is the one. You see, it shows the DHCP automatically, and it's taking the IP address. So what I need to do now is to change this 192.168.1.1 to 192.168.100, as they ask me to do here. Okay, that's what I need to do. So changing it, actually I need to log in first. And now, as we said, we're going to use root. And then the password which I just created. And here it is, I'm logging. Okay. Now, what I need to do is the number 2, set interfaces IP addresses. So I'm going to click 2, and I'll click enter. And then it's asking me which interface you want to do something with. And I'm going to say 1, because that's the LAN, right? Number 1. And now it's asking me, okay, it will be through DHCP, yes. And as you see, the capital letter means that's the default one. So I don't need to enter it, I just need to click N. And in my case, that's what it is. I don't want DHCP. And I'm going to click enter. And now it's asking me what would be my IP address. I'm going to say 192.168.100.1. Now it's asking me which network mask will be, and I'm going to say 24, because that's what I want. Now, this is for WAN. You need to do something. If it's only LAN, that's our case, I just need to click enter. Here it is. And then configure IP version 6, address, LAN interface, blah, blah, tracking. So you just click enter for this one. Do you want to enable the DHCP server on the LAN? Yes, I would like. Because as we mentioned, all of these addresses, well, not all of them, but some of them initially at least I need to get from a DHCP. Afterwards, I will stop it. There will be no problems. It will be very easy to be stopped from the graphical interface we're going to have. But for now, I wanted it. I want everything what I'm going to create internally and connect to this network adapter, basically to be able to get an IP address from the DHCP. So that's why I'm going to say yes here. And the default is no, so I need to say Y and click enter. And then I could say 192.168.100.200, and the final address will be 190. So that's the pool, the DHCP pool, which will be addresses will be given from 192.168.100.250. Do you want to revert? Now, by default, HTTPS is the protocol we're going to use to access. Do you want to use HTTP? Well, it's not secure. All the passwords will be in clear text, so I don't want this. That's why the default is N, and I'll just click N. And actually, it's applying the settings which I did. It says now that that's my URL, and as you see, it's changed it. So what I need to do now, basically, is just open one of my browsers, and I need to write down this IP address, 192.168.100.1, and then click enter. Okay, and it will show it to me that, you know, well, because the certificate, something which we're going to speak about the next week for what is the certificate of authority, because there is such, but it is self-signed. Well, it says, you know, it might be a hacker who tricks you out that the connection is secure, and asking you to go and put your password and stuff inside, and, you know, this person afterwards to take it from you. So it says be careful with this. Well, I know that is my site, so there is no problem with this. I'm going to say advanced, and I'm going to say accept the risk and continue. And here it is now. So what I'm going to use here will be the root, and the password which I just entered, right? And I'm going to say login. And actually, I'm going to save the password. And it will start the initial configuration. So that's the initial configuration which will be done. I'll say next. And here it is, the host name. That's the initial configuration. You see on the left side there are different menus, and the moment I'm in the menu system, and there are submenus there, and I'm on the submenu wizard. Okay, so we're gonna see them when we start working, but that's how the navigation within the firewall is. So I'm in the third menu, and on the, I don't know which one, submenu here, wizard. So you could always actually go there and use it again. So I'm gonna call this, instead of opnsense, I'm gonna call it firewall 1. Let's see how they wanna call it actually. So I'm gonna go and check how they wanna call it. They want to call it, yeah, firewall 01. That's how I'm going to call it, the same way. So here it is. I'm going to call it firewall 01. Actually, I could go a little bit further, and I could, on the domain, I could say housenet.local. Well, that's the domain they're asking us to introduce. So that's why I'm using it. You see, it says housenet.local. Here it is. That's why I'm using this guy. So I could do it. I could add it to a domain after this if I want to. Housenet.local. The language, English. Now, primary DNS, you could use one, but if you're gonna use the, you know, the firewall as a primary domain name server, which is the better idea, you don't need to put anything here. As a secondary one, though, if this one fails, you could do something about it. For now, I'm going to leave both of them free. I'm not going to put anything. So if I need something to be done, I'll do it then. Override DNS. If there is a DHCP or DNS or PPP on the one, it will actually, the DNS which is I'm receiving from the one will override the one which I would put here. For me, that's good because I'm using DHCP anyway, so I'll leave it as it is. So don't do anything. And enable resolver actually will do this one, a DNS server. Okay, that's what it means. All of the other things, actually everything I will leave as it is. I'll say next. It's asking me which will be the time zone, and my time zone actually, and yours is America. So it's a little bit up. And you could find out Toronto, I guess. Here it is. That's the closest one. Say next. Now it's asking what will be the WAN interface. We already chosen it, but it's asking again. So DHCP is fine, and we don't check anything here. The only thing we need to check here, uncheck actually here, are these two funny checkboxes at the bottom. And you're gonna see we're gonna do the same for the pfSense. Now in the real environment, when this will be facing your internet, you don't need to do this, because actually you don't want your provider, which will provide you kind of a network between provider and yourself, will be kind of a private network. So you don't want to allow the provider to get inside your network. So that's why this thing's supposed to be there. But in our case, we are indeed the people who, you know, we are connected to our network, local network. So if I still leave this checked, it won't allow me to have access to my LAN network. So that's why guys, I need to uncheck this guy. Okay, both of them for the WAN interface. Okay, you're gonna see when I go to the LAN interface, actually it will be unchecked already. So that's why I need to uncheck. That's what we'll do on the pfSense as well. Say next. And that's my IP address, and that's my subnet max. Everything is fine. I'll click next. The password it's asking me to choose. I'll choose the same one. Say next. And now it wants me to save all the settings and reload the firewall. Well, I'll say reload. If I change something, be sure that you're gonna change here. But now, as you see, I'm on my lobby, they call it. And if I click here on the dashboard, indeed I will see everything what's happening with this system. Okay, so that's how the initial configuration, the initial installation, and the very first configuration of your opnsense firewall will look like. Now there are some other things we need to do. I'm gonna go through them, and then very briefly I'll do the same for pfSense. So what I need to do here, most of the time, you need to go to the system, and you need actually to update the system. When you go to the firmware, here's the updates. You need to update the system. But it's taking a little bit of time, so I'm gonna leave it for a little bit further. Okay, it's a free, it's an open source software, so it will download everything. Most of the things, I would say 99% of them are free. Okay. Another thing what we need to do is going actually to the interfaces here, and I need to see, you see I see only two interfaces, LAN and WAN. So I'm gonna go to the LAN. It is enabled. Okay, that's the device name. So if I go to my firewall, actually I'm gonna see, you see the device name is the same, EM0. Okay, you see it here. That's the one, and it has actually the MAC address. You could see the MAC addresses if you go and do assign interfaces. It will show you the MAC addresses. The other way to see it on the VirtualBox, to see the MAC addresses, it is basically when you open the VirtualBox, go machine, settings, and navigate to the network. So when you open this, you will see the MAC addresses to all of your adapters. These are here. And when you shut down the machine, you could spoof them with this, you see it says generate new MAC address, random. But you could actually, you need to be shut it down to do this. So here it is, how it looks. And the other thing what I need, you see the block private network and block bogon network, they're by default here, they're open right away, because otherwise you cannot do anything. We chosen static IP address, track interface. Well, I say no. I don't want to use the IP version 6 at all. And that's my IP address, which I'm using in the upstream gateway, or the gateway which will be using actually indeed at the moment is how to detect. Now this is important when you're gonna have couple of internet providers. Then you're gonna see more here, and then you need to choose in between. That's for now we don't have one, so I'm gonna just click save. Always apply the changes, and my LAN interface has been done. Now, by the way, I would like to make LAN with small letters, so I'm gonna say LAN like this. I'm gonna say save again and apply, and you see it will change. Actually, it will make it small letters. Okay, so for me it's more readable. So I'm gonna go check the WAN again. It is enabled. We allow the block private and bogon networks off. The DHCP is already there. As you see, I don't want DHCP version 6. We stopped it, and basically that's all. We don't want anything more. We just want this to be also small letters. I'm gonna say 1. I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna apply the changes, and it's done. Once this disappear here, everything will be fine. Now we have one more interface though, right? So now I'm gonna go to assignments, which is the third one below the one, and here the third one. You see EM2, which I don't see it yet, but it has a MAC address, as you see. Okay, and actually I'm gonna click plus and I'm gonna add it. So that's the DMZ, and it says OPT1. That's from option 01. So I'll click here on the OPT1. I will enable the interface for sure, and I'm gonna call it DMZ. So this is my internal connection, if you remember, my DMZ on the network. On the network schema, this is, oops, I'm sorry, this is this guy here. This is this one here. Okay, sorry. So I'm gonna go, and I need to be sure that I will enable it. You could always say prevent interface removal if you suddenly do it. I'm not gonna do this for now because it's an internal interface. Once again, by default, this one's are unchecked. Now it's asking me what type of IP configuration. So that's the way when I'm gonna define my IP addresses. So I'll say it's a static IP address. I don't want to use IP version 6, and then I need to define, when I say static IP address, it will ask me for the IP address. And I'm gonna say 192.168.200.1. Why? Well, because that's what they asked me to do on the schema, right? Here it is, 192.168.200.1. And what I need to do just here is to say save, apply changes, and my interface has been configured. And the last thing what I need to do is to go to this funny icon here which says services and go to DHCP version 4. So I need to allow the DHCP on the both interfaces. On the LAN it's already done, if you remember. I enabled it, but you see it's changing. I've chosen 200 to 250, and it has chosen it to 10 to 245, I'm sorry. So what I need to do here is just to use the one which I wanted. Okay, if you remember, that was which I've chosen. Now the DNS server, you could choose something else. If you don't choose anything, it will choose itself as a DNS server. I could put it, I'm gonna say 192.168.100.1, and actually that's my gateway as well. So I need to put this because this will be given to the client. Any client which will be added to the LAN, it will receive this information automatically. So the domain name will be housename, housenet.local, and indeed I will copy it and I'll put it as a domain search list as well. And basically that's all what I need to do. I need to say save, and my DHCP, as you see, it actually shows that it's already on, this green sign here. And I need to do the same for the DMZ. You see the DHCP hasn't been started, so I'm going to start it. I'm going to say 192.168.200.200. I'll copy this. I'll put it here, and I'll put 250. And then I'll put it on the DNS server, and actually it's supposed to be 200 itself. And the gateway itself is this one. So every client which will be added to the network here, indeed it will receive automatically an IP address from this interface. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, and now I could go well, the domain name I could use the same, although I'm not going to use it really, but let's put it. And then I'm gonna do save here. Okay, so this is very common mistake you do. Well, this one is related to the interfaces we just did, and hopefully I'm very glad that this happened. When you start and you put the IP address, the default subnet mask is 32, which means the IP address itself. So what I needed to do here, which I've forgotten, is I needed to come here and choose the 24. Okay, and I'm gonna do save now and apply the changes, and now it will be okay. So when I go back to the services and go back to the DHCP4 and go back to DMZ, I need to do the things again apparently. So I'm gonna copy this one like that. I'm gonna paste it here, and that would be 200. This one will be 250. DNS server we set is 1. The firewall interface itself, the gateway is 1. The firewall interface itself, and we have housenet .local. And then we save it again, and this time there will be no error because obviously, well, we forgot to enable the DHCP, so we need to enable it. Otherwise, it will be set it up, but it won't give anything. I'll say save. And now my DHCP is on, is working. So when I go to the lobby, or I don't need to go to the lobby actually, if I click here on the sign opnsense on the top, it will open the lobby, it will show me the, the dashboard. Indeed, in that case, I would have been able to use it. So that's how we install the opnsense. Let's just try to install also the updates. I'll go to the systems. I'll go to the firmware, and here the updates. And here's the updates, and what I need to do is to say check for updates. And now, as you see, it's finding updates. That was the reason. The reason was it has been something which was unrecognizable for my firewall, and actually it was blocking it. So I allowed it to go through the firewall. So basically, what I'll do now, I'll just say update now. So let's install the pfsense as well. It's the same way. You do new. I'm going to call this pfsense. Okay. Now it's the same. It is BSD, and it's FreeBSD 64. And I'm going to choose 2048 again, just initially. 16 gigabyte is fine. Here it is. It has been created, and as you see, actually it has been created directly within this list, so I could always hide it if I want. Now I need to do similar settings as I did already. I'll do this faster because it's very similar to the other one. So in the advanced mode, I don't need to do anything. System, I'm going to remove the floppy. Okay. Well, on the system, I need to be sure that here is chosen the USB tablet. Display, don't touch anything. Storage, I'm going to put the same way I did it. I'll choose this time from my desktop. I will choose the pfsense, which is a little bit down. Here it is. Okay, I'll choose it. Network. Now, it is the same configuration, but in this case, my adapter one is my one. So that's how pfsense works. So basically, the bridge adapter will be my first adapter. On opnsense, the second one was like this. So that's something which I know from my experience. Okay, so I'll click here enable, and that will be my LAN. For the LAN this time, because I would like to show it to you guys the difference, I'll choose here internal adapter, internal network, and I'm gonna choose here, and I have already LAN if you remember. If I don't have one, I'm gonna create it. I'll say LAN. Okay, and for the adapter 3, I'm gonna choose again internal adapter. And you see LAN has been created already. You see it's already there. And I'm going to choose now DMZ. So I just would like to show it to you guys the difference between adapters, specifically the adapters which are on your LAN, how they work when you choose internal network over the the host-only adapter as we did with the opnsense. I don't need to choose as an opnsense shared folder because there is no graphical interface. So that's my settings, and I'll say start. This is how it, you see it seems similar the way it is installing the operating system, but it is actually putting it now, and it won't ask me for a username and password. So I just need to confirm that I want to be installed, that's all. If you remember, for the opnsense, it was asking me for username here. It starts without asking me. So there is no installer. There is not this thing. You just come here and you say accept. And now it's asking what do you want to do, and I want to install it, I'm sorry. So yes again, yes. Okay. So basically here just click OK. You don't do anything else here. It's even easy and it's faster. You're gonna see installation than opnsense. And as soon as it reboots, the same way like opnsense, you need to shut it down, manually remove the CD, and then start it again. Because otherwise it will start installation over and over and over again. And as you see, as I promised, it's much faster, the installation. So it's asking me, the installation is finished. Would you like to open a shell in the new? I don't want, so I'm going to say no. And now I'm going to click to reboot, and it will reboot. And once again, once it's rebooted, I'll shut it down manually, and I'll remove my CD from inside. Here it is. It's starting again back. I will shut it down. Then I'll go to the settings. I will navigate to the network, to the storage. Click on pfsense disk, and I'll remove the disk. I'll say OK, and I'll start it back, and there will be no problem. So it's loading the operating system which we just installed, so it will take a little bit of time to load it, and afterwards you could access it. Well, we need to do the initial configuration the same way we did for the other, and you see after this it won't work the same way as this because we don't have real access to it. So what we will need to do actually is to install in our LAN, to install a computer, and from this computer we will be able then to access this interface. It won't be so fast accessing the graphical interface like with the other one, because the adapter we're using is different. This one doesn't allow from your real computer you guys to access your virtual computer anymore. So here it is. As you see, it shows me again. Now I have 172.16.02.06 as the DHCP address for my WAN, and 192.168.1.1 again. So no problem that I have already 100. I could check it. I could change this one, right? No problem for this. So I could, and also if you remember, my LAN is using different type of adapter, so it won't be visible from my real computer. So there is no problem at all. I'll click here number 2 again, which says set interfaces IP address. I'll click enter, and then it's asking me which one, 1 or 2. Well, my LAN is 2. Oops, I'm sorry. So I'll do it again, 2, and my LAN. And now I'll put the IP address. I'll put the same one. Okay, the same subnet mask. As you see, it's very similar to what we've done with the opnsense, and because this one is fork of the other one. Okay, so the same here. I need just to click enter. I don't want IP version 6, and that's why I'm click enter. Do you want to enable the DHCP server? Yes, I want. I'll say yes. And again, 192.168, 100, 200, and 192.168, 100, 250. And this one, again, we will need to change after. Do you want to revert the HTTP? No, I don't want. I want HTTPS to be my protocol. And here it is. I just did the change the same way I did with the other ones. And if I go and try to access it now, you see now it is changed the IP address. So if I try to access it now, so if I just click here, reload the page, well, nothing will happen actually because I don't have access like I have with this one. The interface is here, you see on the network. So when I go settings on the pfsense and I navigate to the network interface on the LAN, you see on my LAN here, I'm using the internal network. And if I check on my opnsense, so again, machine settings, and I go to my LAN, which was the first one, well, I'm using host only. So